The wait is over. Already in 4 years, the question about extraterrestrial life will be answered once and for all. Because 2027 is the year in which our extraterrestrial neighbors reveal themselves. Well, of it at least, the former CIA agent John Ramirez is convinced. However, is it possible that this foolhardy statement possesses a true core in the end? Will we really sit there in 4 years and look stupidly out of the laundry? After all, one thing is indisputable. Ramirez is by no means the only ex-intelligence agent to make headlines with statements like this. David Grush is also sure. The U.S. government has known about the existence of aliens for a long time and has been leading its population around by the nose for decades. Are you ready to dive in with us into a world of accusations, secrecy, and incredible information? Then sit back, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to stay tuned to the end. What at first sounds like the hook for the next Netflix series is actually happening. A former CIA employee has decided to turn his back on the famous Foreign Intelligence Service and confront the world with an incredible truth. However, as befits a thrilling story, all the talk about alien contacts and secret government programs is not only met with approval from the general public. Tiredly smiled at by most people, the ultimate plot twist follows in the year 2027. The aliens suddenly appear on the earthly scene, and the former CIA agent was right all along. According to his own statements, Ramirez wants to do nothing else with his revelations than to prepare the U.S. and, in a broader sense, the global population for an inevitable event. Because one is certain for the whistleblower. If we in the government continue in such a way as in the past decades, it will come with the arrival of the aliens to a mass panic with unimagined consequences. But where does Ramirez actually get his controversial information? Well, he doesn't want to fully reveal that. In this regard, he only said in an interview, "I think word has gotten out in the government that aliens are going to show up in 2027. I have heard this in some kind of official capacity, but I cannot reveal it. The government is aware that there are only a few years left to prepare people." Ramirez and the Reptiloids. And even if we have no idea what exactly is meant by some kind of official function, there are a number of people who believe the unsubstantiated statements. And in fact, this is by no means the only and not even the most off-the-wall claim that Ramirez has drawn attention to himself with. Beyond that, he's also convinced of the fact that reptiloids dwell among us. Even more, according to his own data, he stood such a lizard being even already eye in eye opposite. We remember, those who are convinced of the conspiracy myth believe that bizarre mixed creatures have crept into mankind. Since then, reptiloids have devoted themselves to the task of directing politics and the economy from behind the scenes and enslaving our species. What at first sounds like an implausible fever dream is actually accompanied by a bizarre statistic. 4% of Americans believe the scary creatures actually exist. That's 13 million people. Incidentally, Ramirez described his own personal tryst with a lizard visitor as follows. "I once had a negative experience with a creature that most people would describe as reptilian. It came out of the living room and into my bedroom. I fought with it, hit it, and had scratch marks the next morning." David Grush. As is well known, John Ramirez is not the only whistleblower currently keeping the world public spellbound. In contrast to Ramirez's rather vague claims, the revelations of former Secret Service employee David Grush seem a bit more tangible. Those who don't live behind the moon will have noticed that Grush even repeated his statements to an investigative committee of the U.S. Congress, and that, mind you, under oath. Basically, these can be summarized as follows. The U.S. government has maintained a top-secret UFO recovery program for many decades, although it is not subject to congressional oversight. In the context of the project, extraterrestrial technologies are secured and copied as well as possible in the aftermath. But that's not all. During the recovery of crashed spaceships, biological material has also been found that is not human. Or in other words, the U.S. government is in possession of extraterrestrial remains. However, we should not leave one fact unmentioned at this point. David Grush has never seen these things with his own eyes. In his assertions, he relies rather on the statements of, quote, credible persons, as well as on photos and official documents. Because he himself was denied access to direct sources, he filed a whistleblower complaint in the first place. Former military pilots Ryan Graves and David Fravor also testified before the Congressional Committee, affirming that UFO sightings are truly not uncommon these days. But because most pilots fear the professional consequences, they usually refrain from reporting their observations. In 2004, Fravor had to witness firsthand how disturbing such a sighting can be. At the time, he was confronted with a wingless, tic-tac-shaped object that moved at breakneck speed. But what does the other side actually have to say about the profound accusations made by Grush and Company? Well, the corresponding statements sound exactly as one would expect. Although such rumors have been known for some time, they have no serious basis. In fact, it currently appears that Grush's credibility is being deliberately undermined. It leaked out that the former Secret Service employee suffered from depression and was addicted to alcohol. Furthermore, he had expressed suicidal thoughts and was admitted to a psychiatric clinic because of post-traumatic stress disorder, which was caused by deployment in Afghanistan. Evidence or lies? And even if confirmation of extraterrestrial life is still a long time coming until 2027 or beyond, one thing is indisputable. In the past already, a multiplicity of strange incidents occurred, which cannot be assigned so simply into a comprehensible context. Let's think about the famous Roswell incident of 1947. Allegedly, an extraterrestrial spacecraft crashed into New Mexico. The debris was subsequently recovered by government officials and taken away. While officially it was nothing more than a weather balloon, Betty and Barney Hill came into focus in the early 60s when they claimed to have been abducted by aliens in the flesh. The couple claimed to have seen a bright object during a nighttime car ride and subsequently suffered a collective blackout. Later, under hypnosis, they described numerous details of the incident. They had been taken aboard a spaceship by small gray figures and medically examined there. Since the couple's accounts differed in some aspects, many believe that the alleged alien abduction was actually just an embarrassing attempt to get into the lucrative spotlight. Basically, the list of UFO sightings is richly populated and hotly disputed. But despite all the missing proofs, also many conservative researchers are convinced of the fact that extraterrestrial life exists. After all, why should Pioneer plaques and Voyager golden records be used to send information about us and our home planet into space if we believe it won't reach anyone anyway? But if there are indeed other advanced civilizations in the universe, why aren't they there? While this is a question that Italian physicist Enrico Fermi also asked himself. The Fmy Paradox. Against the background of the assumption that the unfolding of terrestrial life is not a unique coincidence, the universe should actually be teeming with extraterrestrial civilizations. At any rate, this is the starting point of that thought game which we all know today as the Fmy Paradox. What is valid in the big picture is also valid in the relatively small one. Our Milky Way should be teeming with different species. If there is only one civilization in our home galaxy that is capable of interstellar colonization, it could completely colonize the entire galaxy within a few million years. But then why aren't the aliens here? In order to decipher the Fmy Paradox, different explanation attempts are ready. Leaving aside the theory that we are really alone, it is possible that the gigantic distances of the universe put a spoke in the wheel of the cross-species encounter. Let's take a look at the star closest to our Sun. A space probe traveling at a speed of 61,000 kilometers per hour, like Voyager 1, would need 75,000 years to reach Proxima Centauri. While another approach is based on the fact that a civilization is maximally capable of colonizing its immediate neighboring systems, experts like Stephen Hawking believe that it's the nature of technological civilizations to extinguish themselves sooner or later. Among the possible triggers of extinction are gene-modified pathogens, out-of-control weapons technologies, and runaway greenhouse effects. However, this is not the only view that Stephen Hawking held. For example, the genius who died in 2018 appealed that we must do everything we can to remain undiscovered for as long as possible. The so-called dark forest theory also strikes a comparable chord. knowing that in the vastness of space, aggressive species are up to no good, eliminating every potential competitor. Most civilizations behave as inconspicuously as possible. And with that, thank you for watching our video to the end. Feel free to leave us a thumbs up and a subscription to support us for free, and stay up to date at the same time. Have a look at the other videos in the credits. But for now, we need your opinion. How do you think we should evaluate the statements of John Ramirez and David Grush? Is the US government really running a secret UFO recovery program? We're looking forward to your comments.